The rain hammered the roof like 1,000 tiny accusations, but I was too lost in the heat of his skin to care. My hands gripped Jake's hips, pulling him closer on the worn leather couch in our family's living room. His breath ragged against my neck as we tumbled into that forbidden rhythm we'd chased for months in secret. Then the front door creaked open, and there stood Dylan, my little brother, soaked from the bus ride home early, his eyes wide as saucers, backpack slipping from his shoulder, catching me dead in the act, mid-thrust, with our high school quarterback buried balls deep inside me. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted to bust out and apologize first. But Jake just chuckled low and dirty, not even pulling away. "Shit, kid," he muttered, glancing over his shoulder at Dylan with that cocky grin that made half the town wet. Dylan didn't scream, didn't bolt, he just stared, cheeks flushing crimson under the porch light. And in that split second, something shifted in his gaze. Not disgust, but a hunger that mirrored my own buried shame. I shoved Jake off me harder than I meant to, the slap of skin echoing louder than the storm outside. He tumbled back onto the coffee table, knocking over Mom's porcelain vase, the one Dad got her from that flea market in Tacoma before he bailed on us for good. Shards scattered like broken promises across the shag carpet, and Jake cursed under his breath, yanking up his jeans with that effortless jock swagger. "Easy, Ethan," he drawled, zipping up like it was no big deal. Family reunions off to a hell of a start. Dylan hadn't moved. He was 16, all gangly limbs and that mop of chestnut hair that always fell into his eyes, the kind of kid who still believed in superheroes and straight-A report cards. But right then, framed in the doorway like some drowned ghost, he looked older, haunted, even. Water pooled at his sneakers I'd bought him last Christmas with my barista tips, back when I was pretending to be the big brother who had it all figured out. "Ethan," his voice cracked, barely above the thunder rumbling over Puget Sound. Not accusatory, not yet, just my name, like a plea. "Go upstairs." "Dill," I said, scrambling for my shirt, my voice rougher than I intended. Tangled in my arms, and I yanked it over my head, the fabric sticking to my sweat-slicked skin. Jake snorted, grabbing his keys from the side table, already halfway to the door. "Call me later, babe." This was just getting good. He clapped my shoulder on his way out, brushing past Dylan without a glance, like my brother was furniture. The door slammed shut behind him, rattling the windows, and suddenly it was just us. Me, exposed and unraveling, and Dylan, dripping and unblinking. He dropped his backpack with a wet thud, stepping inside like he was crossing into enemy territory. The foyer light caught the freckles across his nose, the ones Mom used to kiss goodnight before her shifts at the diner swallowed her whole. Was that Jake Harlan? Dylan's words hung there, tentative, like he was testing the ice before stepping out. I nodded, throat tight, waiting for the bomb to drop, the yelling, the tears, the inevitable "what the fuck, Ethan?" that would shatter whatever fragile thread held our family together. But he didn't yell. Instead, he peeled off his hoodie, hanging it on the coat rack with mechanical precision, revealing a faded Nirvana tee that swam on his skinny frame. "I always knew you two were close," he said softly, almost to himself, kicking off his shoes. "Like, closer than friends." His eyes flicked to the couch, to the rumpled throw blanket we'd kicked aside, and I swear I saw his Adam's apple bob. "Close? Yeah. If close meant stolen blowjobs in the locker room showers after practice, or Jake's truck parked too long in the shadows of Discovery Park, where the salt air masked our gasps. I sank onto the arm of the couch, running a hand through my hair, still smelling faintly of Jake's cheap Axe body spray. Dill, listen, it's not what it looks like. Or, shit, it is. But words failed me, tumbling out in a jumble of half apologies. How do you explain to your kid brother that the star quarterback, the golden boy of Roosevelt High, had been railing you senseless every chance he got? That it started as curiosity after one too many beers at a bonfire party, and snowballed into this addiction that left me hollow every time he whispered, "Don't tell anyone." Yeah, like our secret was a disease. Dylan crossed the room in 3 strides, perching on the coffee table amid the vase shards like they didn't exist. Up close, I could see the rain had washed away his eyeliner, the subtle stuff he'd started experimenting with in the school bathroom, blaming it on art class smudges when Mom asked. "I get it," he murmured, picking at a splinter on the wood. "I mean, not the doing it part, but the hiding." His gaze lifted, locking onto mine, and there it was again, that flicker, not revulsion, but recognition. Like he'd been carrying the same weight, invisible but crushing. The house creaked around us, the old pipes groaning like they were in on the awkwardness. Outside, the rain eased to a patter, streetlights flickering on along Queen and Avenue. Mom wouldn't be home till midnight, her double shifts at the diner a ritual as predictable as the ferries slicing through the sound. Dad's ghost lingered in the empty lazy boy, a beer stain on the armrest his only legacy. "You're not freaked out?" I finally asked, voice small, like I was the kid here. Dylan shrugged, a ghost of a smile tugging at his lips, brave, but brittle. "Freaked out? Nah. Surprised? Hell yeah. But I've seen the way you look at guys in the bleachers. And Jake, everyone knows he's got that vibe. The one that makes you wonder." He paused, cheeks pinking again. "Makes me wonder, too." My stomach flipped, a cocktail of relief and something sharper, unnamed. Wonder, Dylan, with his sketchbooks full of brooding anime boys and his quiet crushes on the debate team captain, I chalked it up to teenage confusion, the kind that fades with first loves and college applications. But now, sitting there in the wreckage of my hypocrisy, I saw it, the mirror I'd avoided glancing into. "Dill," I started, reaching out to ruffle his damp hair like I used to when he skinned his knee on the playground. He leaned into it, just a fraction, eyes fluttering shut for a beat too long. That night, we cleaned up in silence, me sweeping glass, him mopping the foyer, moving around each other like we'd rehearsed this domestic fallout. No lectures, no judgment. Just the hum of the fridge and the distant wail of a siren down the hill. When we collapsed on the couch with microwave pizzas and a bootleg copy of Brokeback Mountain, irony not lost on me, Dylan curled up with his knees to his chest, stealing glances. "You love him?" he asked during the sheep-herding scene, voice muffled by pepperoni. "Love." The word tasted like ash. "Nah," I lied, easy as breathing. "It's just fun. Complicated fun." Jake was a wildfire, hot, consuming, gone before the embers cooled. But Dylan nodded, like he bought it, and we let Ennis and Jack fill the quiet. By the credits, his head lolled on my shoulder, breaths even, trusting. I didn't move, didn't dare. For the first time in months, the house felt less like a cage. The next morning dawned gray and drizzly, Seattle's default apology for summer. I woke to the smell of burnt toast, Dylan's attempt at breakfast. Bless him. He slid a plate across the kitchen table, black edges and all, grinning sheepishly. Mom's recipe. Sorta. We ate in the nook overlooking the backyard, where the cherry tree Dad planted was dropping petals like confetti for a party no one showed up to. School loomed, me in my last semester at community college, him navigating the hellscape of junior year. But for once, the air between us crackled with possibility, not pretense. "Promise me something?" Dylan said, ketchup smeared on his chin like war paint. I raised an eyebrow, and he leaned in, voice dropping conspiratorially. "Don't let Jake turn you into his side piece. You're better than that." His eyes, green as the evergreens lining I-5, held mine steady. Side piece. Kid had a way with words, sharper than his age suggested. I laughed, but it stuck in my craw. Jake texted mid-bite. "Last night was wild. Round 2 tonight? Your bro cool?" I deleted it without replying, thumb hovering over Dylan's contact instead. "Thanks for not hating me," I typed, hitting send before I could overthink. His phone buzzed on the table, and he read it aloud, smirking. "Sap. But mutual." That mutual lingered like fog over the bay as we biked to school. Me dropping him at Roosevelt's bike racks, the routine we'd honed since he was in braces. Kids milled about, hoodies up against the mist, the football field a muddy scar behind chain link. Jake was there, of course, tossing a spiral with his crew, that Letterman jacket slung over one shoulder like a cape. He spotted me, winked, possessive, promising, and my gut twisted. Not with want anymore, but warning. Dylan noticed, nudging my elbow. "Ignore him. We've got bigger fish." Bigger fish? He meant his upcoming art showcase, the one where he'd debut that charcoal portrait of the Space Needle twisted into a lover's embrace. Subtle, but screaming queer energy to anyone paying attention. I ruffled his hair again, harder this time, and he swatted me away, laughing. For a heartbeat, felt normal. Better than normal. Like we'd cracked open a door we'd both been pounding on from opposite sides. But Jake wasn't one to be ignored. Practice ended early, and there he was, leaning against my beat-up Honda in the community college lot, cigarette dangling from his lips like he owned the asphalt. "Heard your bro walked in on us," he said by way of greeting, exhaling smoke that curled like a question mark. "Kid okay? Didn't scar him for life or nothing?" I unlocked the door, jaw set. "He's fine. We're fine." Lie number 2 of the day. Jake slid into the passenger seat uninvited, long legs sprawling, that cologne hitting me like a gut punch. "Good. 'Cause I ain't done with you, Ethan." Not by a long shot. His hand landed on my thigh, casual but claiming, fingers tracing the seam of my jeans. Heat flared, muscle memory, but I shrugged it off, starting the engine. "Look, man, last night was whatever. But Dylan's off-limits for your gossip mill." Jake's laugh was all teeth, predatory. "Who said anything about your brother? This is about us." The word slithered, possessive. As we peeled out toward home, radio blasting Pearl Jam to drown the tension, I caught my reflection in the rearview, eyes shadowed, lips pressed thin. More like me chasing his shadow, while Dylan became the light I hadn't known I needed. Dinner that night was Mom's meatloaf special. Overcooked, but laced with love and whatever was on sale at Safeway. She chattered about her tables, the rude tourist who stiffed her on a 20, oblivious to the undercurrent at our end of the table. Dylan and I traded glances over mashed potatoes, a silent code emerging. You good?
Yeah.
You? Jake's text burned in my pocket. Pick me up after? And I silenced it, focusing on Dylan's animated recap of art class. How Mr. Hargrove called his piece evocative. Evocative. Yeah. That was us now. Brothers bound by secrets, sketching boundaries in the margins. After dishes, Mom crashed early, her snores a lullaby through the thin walls. Dylan knocked on my doorframe, sketchpad in hand. Wanna see? He flopped onto my bed, the mattress dipping under his weight, and flipped open to a new drawing. Two figures intertwined under rain-slicked evergreens, faces obscured but bodies speaking volumes, tenderness laced with turmoil. My breath hitched. Dill. That's us, he finished, casual as if he'd drawn the backyard fence. Not like us. Just inspired, but his cheeks betrayed him, and when our knees brushed, neither pulled away. The room smelled of pencil shavings and teenage uncertainty, posters of Kurt Cobain peeling at the edges. Ethan, he whispered, tracing a line on the page. What if it's not just Jake? What if it's more? The word hung, electric. I wanted to tell him it was puppy love, confusion, but the truth clawed up. Jake was safe because he was straight passing, a secret I could bury. Dylan, he was a revelation, raw and real, threatening to upend everything. One step at a time. Kid, I said, voice husky, ruffling his hair once more. He leaned in, forehead to mine, breaths mingling. Okay. But promise you'll catch me if I fall. Always, I murmured, and meant it. That night, Jake's calls went to voicemail, the rain washing away the old rhythms. In their place, something new stirred, fragile, fierce, familial in ways I'd never imagined. Weeks blurred into that deceptive Seattle autumn haze, where the sun played peekaboo through clouds thick as regret. Dylan and I fell into a rhythm, unspoken but steady. Mornings biking together, him chattering about his latest crush on the barista at the college cafe. Some androgynous indie kid with sleeve tattoos and a lip ring, me nodding, offering half-baked advice laced with my own fresh hypocrisy. Jake hovered at the edges, his texts a persistent buzz. Miss that ass. When you come in over, I'd archive them, unread, but guilt gnawed like damp rot in the walls. Started small, the shift between Dylan and me. A lingering hug after dropping him off, his arms wrapping tighter around my waist, chin hooking over my shoulder like he was anchoring himself. Thanks for the ride, big bro, he'd say, voice dipping low, eyes sparkling with mischief. At home, we'd commandeer the living room for movie nights, code for call me by your name marathons or moonlight deep dives, pausing to dissect the stolen glances, the what-ifs. Mom noticed the closeness, attributing it to boys sticking together now that your dad's gone. Her smile weary but warm over lukewarm spaghetti. But Jake wasn't content with edges. He cornered me after my shift at the coffee shop, the one wedged between a vape store and a thrift shop on Capitol Hill, where rainbow flags fluttered like defiant prayers. I was wiping down the espresso machine, the bitter steam curling around my face. When he sauntered in, Letterman jacket swapped for a flannel that screamed, trying too hard to be ally. 2 lattes, extra foam, he ordered, smirking at the barista, a goth girl who rolled her eyes. Then, to me, "Lo, make mine Irish. And yours? Make it quick, we need to talk." Outside, under the awning strung with fairy lights, he lit up, offering me the pack like old times. I waved it off. Dylan's anti-smoking lectures had stuck. Surprisingly. "What's this about, Jake?" Rain slicked the sidewalk, umbrellas blooming like black flowers. He leaned in, cologne cutting through the petrichor. "About you ghosting me. About your bro playing third wheel." His eyes narrowed, playful but probing. "Saw him eyeing you at the game last Friday. Kid's got a crush or what?" My blood iced. Friday's game, me in the stands with Dylan, cheering half-heartedly as Jake sacked the rival QB, our knees bumping in the chill. Dylan's flush when our hands brushed for popcorn. The way he'd whispered, "You're hotter than him" out there during a timeout. Innocent, right? Brotherly ribbing. But Jake's gaze sharpened, and suddenly it felt exposed. "Dylan's just a kid," I snapped, stepping back. "And we're done talking. For real this time." Jake's laugh was sharp, a bark. "Done? Babe, you don't get to decide that." He crushed the cigarette under his boot, advancing until I felt the heat of him, that familiar pull. "Remember that night in the truck? You begging for it?" His hand grazed my hip, thumb hooking into my belt loop, and damn if my body didn't betray me, stirring under the memory. But my mind screamed Dylan, his sketches, his trust, and I shoved him off, harder than before. "Walk away, Jake. Or I'll make you." He did. Eventually, after a string of slurs muttered under his breath, "Fucking tease," that echoed louder than the traffic on Broadway. I stood there, shaking, the lattes cooling in their carriers. When Dylan showed up 20 minutes later for our ritual pickup, his face fell at my expression. "What happened?" He tugged me into a hug right there on the curb, ignoring the stares from passersby. "Jake." "Yeah." We piled into the Honda, windows fogging with our breaths. Dylan fiddled with the radio, landing on some grunge playlist, Soundgarden wailing about black holes, and didn't push. But at a red light, he turned, ice fierce. "You deserve better, Ethan. Someone who sees you, not just uses you." His hand covered mine on the gearshift, small but sure, and the light changed before I could respond. That better crystallized over the next month, as fall leaves turned the streets to fire. Dylan's art showcase hit like a revelation. The community center in Fremont, troll statues grinning from the lawn, hipsters milling with craft beers. His piece hung center stage, a triptych of brothers in a storm, one shielding the other, bodies blurred but intimate, rain rendering them translucent. Whispers rippled, "Queer as hell, bold for a high schooler." Jake slunk in late, nursing a solo cup, his eyes devouring the canvas like it was a threat. I caught him glaring at Dylan across the room, where my brother blushed under praise from Mr. Hargrove. "You proud?" Dylan asked later, as we wandered the banks of the ship canal, fairy lights twinkling on the water. The air was crisp, laced with weed from a nearby dispensary. I slung an arm around his shoulders, pulling him close against the chill. "Beyond, kid. That was you, raw, real." He stopped, turning into me, faces inches apart under the sodium glow of a bridge lamp. It's us, Ethan. Not just inspired. What I feel. His voice trembled, confession spilling like the canal's current. I should have pulled back. Age gap, blood, the whole taboo tapestry, but his eyes, wide and wanting, hooked me. Dill, I breathed, thumb brushing his jaw, stubble just starting to shadow it. Our lips met tentative, a brush that ignited like dry tinder, soft, searching, tasting of cheap Chardonnay and courage. He melted into it, hands fisting my jacket, and for that stolen minute, the world narrowed to his warmth. His whisper of finally. We broke apart at footsteps, Mom, calling from the parking lot, oblivious. But the kiss lingered, a spark in my veins as we drove home, Dylan's hand tracing patterns on my thigh, innocent now laced with intent. Jake's truck idled at the stoplight when we turned onto our street, headlights pinning us like suspects. He revved the engine, peeling out with a screech that said I know. Betrayal brewed slow, then swift. It hit peak the weekend of the Harvest Festival in Ballard, locks heaving with salmon runs and craft stalls hawking salmon prints. Dylan and I volunteered at the LGBTQ booth, irony thick as the fry bread, handing out condoms and pamphlets, him charming the drag queens with his sketches. Jake crashed it, of course, just passing through, but his eyes tracked us like a hawk. Cute date, he sneered later, cornering me by the porta-potties, Dylan off grabbing cider. Your own brother? That's some backwoods shit. Ethan, fuck off, I hissed, but he grabbed my wrist, grip bruising. Everyone's gonna know. Your mom, the team, hell, the whole damn town. Unless, his smirk twisted, well, you come back. One night. Make it right. Blackmail, wrapped in nostalgia. My stomach roiled, but before I could swing, Dylan appeared, eyes blazing. Let him go, asshole. Kid had a switchblade in his pocket, gift from a sketchy uncle, and he flicked it open, point steady. Jake released me, laughing it off, but retreated, tail between his legs. That night, high on adrenaline and stolen sips of spiked punch, Dylan and I tumbled into my room, door locked, world shut out. Clothes shed in a frenzy, his lithe body, all lean muscle from soccer, pressing against mine, freckles mapping constellations I traced with lips and tongue. Love you, he gasped as I entered him slow, reverent, the bed frame protesting our rhythm. Always have. It wasn't Jake's fire. It was hearth, deep, enduring, laced with the salt of tears for what we'd hidden too long. But dawn brought reality's bite. Mom knocked, voice muffled. Boys? Church in an hour. We scrambled, giggling like idiots, but the afterglow soured when my phone lit up, screenshots from Jake. Blurry but damning, us at the festival, arms linked, Dylan's sketch, captioned Incest Central. Sent to the team group chat. To coach. To Mom's work email. Panic clawed as we dressed, Dylan's face ashen. He wouldn't, but he had. By noon, Mom's eyes were red-rimmed at the kitchen table, phone clutched like a grenade. Ethan. Dylan. Is this true? Her voice broke, not anger, but grief, for the sons she'd raised straight as arrows, now bent by secrets. Dylan crumbled first, sobbing into her shoulder. I'm sorry, Mom. It's love. Real love. I stood frozen, betrayal's ice in my veins, until she pulled me in two, arms a trembling bridge. My boys. We'll figure it. Jake's reckoning came swift. Coach benched him, rumors swirling like autumn leaves. He cornered me one last time in the school parking lot, rain sheeting down. You think this ends it? You're ruined. Both of you. But his voice cracked, eyes wild not with power, but loss. I loved you, Ethan. In my fucked up way. Loved. Past tense. I walked away, Dylan's hand in mine, the storm cleansing what was poisoned. Yet the wound festered. Whispers followed Dylan at school, freak, pervert, his sketches torn from lockers, confidence fracturing. Nights, he'd curl into me, whispers of doubt. Am I enough? I'd hold him tighter, promising the world. But inside, guilt gnawed. Had I dragged him into my mess? Mom tried. Therapy sessions in a strip mall office. Her hand squeezing mine. Love's love, baby. Just wish it had been easier. Climax brewed in December's chill. Christmas lights twinkling like false hopes. Jake's party. His last hurrah before expulsion rumors solidified. Beckoned like a siren's call. Dylan begged me not to go. He's poison, but I needed closure. Or confrontation. Or whatever macho bullshit propelled me through the snow-dusted streets to his McMansion in Laurelhurst. The house throbbed with bass. Red cups littering the lawn like casualties. Jake found me in the kitchen, pouring vodka with shaking hands. Knew you'd come crawling. His breath was boozy, eyes bloodshot. Miss me, he lunged, lips crashing mine in a desperate claim, teeth and tongue, all fury. Kissed back once, twice, old habits dying hard. Before reality surged, Dylan's face, Mom's tears, our fragile peace. I shoved him into the island counter, glasses shattering. We're done, Jake. For good, he laughed, manic, grabbing my collar. You think you can just? The door burst open then, Dylan, snow in his hair, eyes wild. He'd followed, protective streak flaring. Get off him, he charged, fists flying, a scuffle of limbs and curses. Jake swung wild, connecting with Dylan's jaw, a sick crack echoing, and my brother crumpled, blood blooming on the tile. Rage blinded me. I tackled Jake, punches landing until teammates pulled us apart, sirens wailing in the distance. Dylan stirred as I cradled him, whispering, I'm here, blood on my shirt like stigmata. Jake's eyes met mine over the chaos, regret flickering, then gone. You chose wrong, he spat, as cops cuffed him for the assault. The ER waiting room smelled of antiseptic and stale coffee, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets overhead. Dylan sat beside me on the scratchy vinyl chairs, ice pack pressed to his swelling jaw, a butterfly bandage sealing the split lip. His eyes, though those green depths held no defeat, only a quiet fire that made my chest ache. Mom paced, phone glued to her ear, coordinating with the aunt in Spokane who could cover her shift. Fractures minor, the doc had said, prescribing rest and Advil. Kids heal fast, but we weren't kids anymore. Not really. As the admitting nurse called Dylan's name for discharge papers, he squeezed my hand under the armrest. Secret, steady. Worth it, he mouthed, and I believed him, even as Jake's mugshot burned in my mind, that cocky grin twisted into something feral. Assault charges loomed, his football dreams, poof up in Seattle smoke. Part of me pitied the wreckage, the boy who'd hidden his own cracks behind bravado. But pity curdled quick when I thought of Dylan's blood on my knuckles. Home was a cocoon that Christmas Eve. Tree half-strung with lights Mom and I wrestled up while Dylan napped off the painkillers. "He'll be okay," she murmured, handing me a tangled bulb. Her eyes, crow's feet deepening, searched mine. "You both will. But Ethan, this Jake business. It ends now." I nodded, throat tight, "Yes, ma'am," like the good son I'd failed to be. Dinner was takeout Chinese, fortune cookies cracking open prophecies. A journey begins with a single step. Dylan's red love conquers the storm. He winked at me over egg drop soup, and Mom pretended not to notice. Her own cookie-whispering family mends all. New Year's dawned crisp, resolutions scribbled on napkins. Mine, be honest. Dylan's, draw fearlessly. Mom's, more nights off. School resumed, a gauntlet. Dylan returned to Roosevelt with a wire jaw and a swagger born of survival. Sketches bolder, now featuring fractured heroes rising from ashes. Whispers died slow, but he owned them, telling a bully in the hall, "Yeah, I'm gay. Deal with it or draw it." The kids slunk away. Dylan became legend, the artist with bite. Me, community college dragged. Psych classes dissecting identity like cadavers. Jake's absence echoed, locker empty. Field fallow, but rumors swirled. Rehab stint, family pulling strings for a transfer to some Bible Belt academy. Good riddance, mostly. But nights, when Dylan slipped into my bed for warmth, our bodies entwining slow and sweet under the quilt, I'd wake sweating, ghosts of Jake's hands on me, his whispers of mine. "You okay?" Dylan would murmur, lips brushing my collarbone, his touch erasing the phantoms. Spring unfurled tentative, cherry blossoms dusting queen and like pink snow. We hiked Discovery Park one Saturday, backpacks heavy with PB and JS and sketch pads, the sound glittering below like shattered glass. Dylan sketched me against a driftwood log, salt wind whipping his hair, pencil flying. "Hold still, capture that brooding poet vibe." I laughed, tossing a pebble into the waves. "Poet? Try barista burnout." But his eyes softened. Serious. "Nah. You're my anchor, Ethan. In this mess, anchor." The word swelled, heavy with what we'd built from ruins. That night, post-hike showers turned steamy water cascading, hands exploring with newfound ease. No rush, no secrets, just us, learning curves and size. His moans muffled against my shoulder as I mapped him with mouth and fingers. "I want forever," he gasped after, tangled in towels on the bathroom floor. Forever. At 22 and 17, it sounded reckless, but felt right, like breathing after drowning. Betrayal's second strike came subtle, insidious. Mom's birthday loomed in April, a low-key affair at the diner, cake and coworkers in paper hats. Dylan and I pooled tips for a spa voucher, her eyes misting. My miracles! But as we cleared plates, her phone pinged, a forwarded email from Jake's mom. "All faux concern. Counseling resources for your family. We've forgiven, but pray for guidance." Attached, more screenshots, twisted narratives. Me seducing Jake, dragging Dylan into deviancy. Mom deleted it, face paling, but the seed planted, doubt in her eyes when Dylan kissed my cheek goodnight. Festered through May, her shifts lengthening, Dinner's silent. She's pulling away, Dylan confided one night, head in my lap as I stroked his hair. Rain pattered the window, a lullaby turned dirge. Thinks we're the reason life's hard. I shushed him, but truth stung. Our love, once bridge, now chasm? I confronted her over coffee one gray morning. Diner empty save for us. Mom, talk to me. Is it us? She stirred sugar endless loops. Eyes down. It's everything, Ethan. Your dad left because he couldn't handle differences. Now you too. It's beautiful, but it hurts, seeing you fight the same battles. Jake's shadow, the town's side eyes, Dylan's fading spark at school. I love you both, she added, hand over mine. But maybe, space, for all of us, space. The word gutted me, polite exile. Dylan took it hardest, retreating to his room, sketches turning dark, thorns entwining lovers, blood droplets like tears. She's right, he muttered when I coaxed him out for a walk along the locks. Fish ladders churned, salmon battling upstream, mirroring our struggle. We're toxic, bullshit. I raged, pulling him against the railing, kissing him fierce under the overcast sky. We're survivors. And she's scared. Not done. Climax crested Memorial Day weekend. Ballard Seafood Fest in full riot. Crab pot steaming. Fiddles wailing. Crowds thick as chowder. We'd planned a date, disguised as family outing. But Mom begged off. Headache. Hurt flickered. But we went anyway. Hands linked in the throng. Dylan's laugh bubbling over fried oysters. Jake appeared like a specter, gaunt in a hoodie, eyes hollow from whatever purgatory he'd clawed from. Missed you. He slurred, beer on his breath, blocking our path by the beer garden. Dylan tensed, grip bruising. Back off, Harlan. But Jake's gaze slid past him, locking on me, pleading, broken. One talk. For old times, bonfires and bruises, passion and poison. Against Dylan's hiss, I nodded, sending him to the stage for the fiddlers. 5 minutes, it stretched to 10. Jake spilling in a shadowed alley behind the tents. Rehab horrors, family disowning, his own buried gay panic exploding into cruelty. I outed you to hurt you, 'cause losing you gutted me. Tears tracked his stubble. Forgive. Part of me softened, the boy beneath the bully, but betrayal's scar throbbed. No, I said, firm. You broke us. But I forgive myself for loving you once. He lunged then, desperate kiss tasting of regret and rye, hands pinning me to brick. I froze, then shoved hard knee to groin, dropping him wheezing. Dylan rounded the corner at the scuffle, eyes flashing fury. Told you, he hauled me away, but not before Jake's wheeze. He's lying to you too, kid. Ask about the letters. Letters? Dylan shot me a look as we wove through the crowd. Fiddle music mocking our exit. Home was tense. Rain resuming its assault. What letters? He demanded, tossing his jacket. I deflated, spilling. Jake's old love notes, hidden in my drawer. Poetic, pre-betrayal, the us I'd clung to. Kept M for closure. Stupid, his face crumpled. Not anger, but ache. While we were building this, you held onto him, trust fractured, shards sharp. He stormed to his room, door slamming like finality. I pounded after, begging through wood. Dill, please. It's you now. Only you. Silence. Then sobs, his mind mingling through the wall. Mom intervened, dawn, coffee in hand, eyes red from her own vigil. Boys. Talk. We did. Raw in the kitchen. Dylan voicing fears of being second. Me confessing Jake's ghost as habit, not heart. Mom mediated. Her wisdom hard-won. Love's messy, but blood's thicker. Choose each other. Every day. Dylan nodded. Tentative. Hand extending. I took it. Knuckles brushing. Seal on shaky ground. Summer solstice brought tentative thaw. Beach days at Alki. Sandcastles crumbling like old walls. Dylan's head on my chest as waves lapped. Still in? He whispered. Fingers tracing my tattoo. A compass rose inked post Jake, pointing home. All in, I vowed. Sealing with salt-kissed lips. Mom watched from afar. Picnic basket in lap. Smile returning slow. But conflict simmered. Dylan's senior year loomed. College apps whispering escape. What if I go east? NYU? He'd muse. Sketches of Manhattan spires. Panic spiked. Separation. The abyss. Then we visit. Fight for it. Humanistic grit. American dream twisted queer. Jake's final betrayal dropped like a bomb mid-July. A letter to Mom. Postmarked from his new reform school in Texas. Apologies laced with barbs. Claiming I'd corrupted her boys. Urging intervention. She burned it in the sink. Flames dancing blue. But embers lingered in her doubt. Ignore him, she said. But therapy resumed. Family sessions peeling layers. Dad's own hidden affairs. Her complicity in silence. Through it, Dylan and I deepened. Nights of poetry slams on Capitol Hill. His verses about brothers in bloom, earning snaps. Lazy afternoons in bed. Bodies and souls sinking. Romance bloomed romantic. Human. Grocery runs debating cereal brands. His hand in my back pocket casual now. Yet climax loomed again. Labor Day Eve. Jake escaped his program, rumors of a joyride, crashing his dad's BMW into a ditch. He showed at our door, wild-eyed, begging shelter. Just one night. He helped me. Dylan barred the way. Jaw set. No, but I hesitated, old loyalty flickering. Jake pushed in. Chaos erupting, shouts. A shove sending Dylan sprawling. Glass from a knocked lamp shattering. I snapped, tackling him out the door. Fists flying till neighbors' lights blazed. Cops came again. Jake hauled off howling curses. Dylan, bruised but unbroken, pulled me up. Enough. He's gone. Mom, witnessing from the porch, nodded, final line drawn. Fall's grip tightened. Leaves carpeting queen and in rust and regret. But our trio mended deliberate. Mom enrolled in night classes, nursing research. Her uniform swapped for textbooks. A spark reigniting her eyes. No more hiding, she'd declare over potlucks. Inviting the diner's queer cook, who became Uncle Ray with his bad puns and better hugs. Dylan thrived at school. Art club president now. Murals of intertwined roots adorning the halls. Subtle anthems to resilience. Me, I transferred to UW. Psych major solidifying. Therapy internship at a youth center where stories like ours echoed in group shares. But love's not linear. It loops. Testing. Dylan's NYU acceptance hit October. Full ride. Sirens wailing in the envelope. Holy shit, he breathed, waving it at breakfast, grin splitting his face. Mom hooped, pulling us into a flour-dusted hug mid-pancakes. Me, stomach plummeted, New York, 3,000 miles of concrete between us. Proud, I managed, voice steady, but inside don't go. Or take me. We celebrated at Pike Place, tossing fish like tourists, stealing kisses amid market bustle. It'll be epic, Dylan enthused, eyes on the ferries slicing Elliott Bay. You visit spring break. We'll hit every dive bar in Brooklyn. Epic. Yeah. But the ache previewed. Empty bed. His scent fading from pillows. That night, lovemaking turned urgent, him on top, hips grinding with desperate grace. Whispers of "I'll write every day" dissolving into moans. Miss this already? I confessed after, his weight a temporary anchor. Jake's shadow lingered faint, a tabloid echo, his Texas stint ending in expulsion, family fracturing further. A letter arrived for me, scrawled, contrite, I was drowning, took you down too. Sorry doesn't fix, but it start. I burned it with Mom's, ashes swirling in the backyard fire pit. Dylan's hand in mine. Closure's a bitch. Ha! We toasted marshmallows, flames gilding his freckles. And let it go, humanistic mercy. No room for anchors dragging. Winter solstice brought first fracture post-Jake. Dylan's crush at school, a lithe swimmer named Kai, with coal-rimmed eyes and a laugh like wind chimes. Flared innocent, then insistent. He's bi, Dylan confided over hot cocoa, snow dusting the windows. Asked me to winter formal, jealousy spiked. Irrational, he's leaving anyway, but I masked it with go for it. Have fun. Inside, turmoil churned. Was I holding too tight? Clipping his wings? Formal night. He emerged ethereal, tux slim cut, hair gelled artful. Mom snapping pics in the foyer. Hot date, I teased, knotting his tie tighter than needed, our eyes locking in the mirror. Don't do anything I wouldn't, he smirked, but lingered, brushing my knuckles. Only you. Kai waited in a Prius. All easy charm. And they peeled out, taillights fading into slushy streets. Paced, Netflix blurring, texts unanswered till 2 a.m., home safe. Kiss good? Yeah. Night. Punch to gut. Morning brought details over eggs. Slow dance, hand on hip, but it was nice. Not us. Relief flooded, but guilt trailed. Possessive? Toxic? We talked it out on the roof. City lights sprawling below, his head on my shoulder. You're it, Ethan. Kai's a friend. You're home. Vulnerability raw. Romantic tears freezing on lashes. Betrayal's echo resurfaced veiled. Mom's new beau. Ray. Over Christmas dinner. Solid guy. But prying. Heard about your ex-drama. Kid gloves off. You too serious. Dylan stiffened. Fork clattering. I jumped in, deflecting with family's family. But later, alone, Dylan vented. He thinks we're freaks. Insecurity bloomed. Petals thorny. Mom overheard. Pulling a heart-to-heart. Ray's adjusting. Give grace. Like you got from me. Grace. The humanistic thread. Weaving us tighter. Spring erupted. Dylan's graduation a milestone blaze. Cap and gown under the needle's shadow. Diploma gripped like a talisman. I hooped loudest from the bleachers. Mom dabbing eyes, Ray clapping steady. Post-ceremony picnic in Gasworks Park. Kites dancing against rusting relics. Dylan pulled me aside by the lake. NYU in fall. But summer's ours. Ours? Road trip south. Highway 101 hugging the coast. Windows down. His playlist blasting Hozier and Fleet Foxes. Oregon Dunes first stop. Sandboarding wipeouts dissolving into laughter. Bodies tumbling in heaps. California next. Big Sur Cliffs. Wind whipped. Where we parked the Honda overlook. Making love in the backseat as seals barked below. This is living, Dylan gasped. Stars wheeling overhead through the sunroof. Romantic idyll, but undercurrents stirred. His NYU emails piling. My internship hours clashing. We'll make it, I'd affirm, but doubt whispered distance devours. Climax crested July 4th. Seattle's seafair roar. Hydroplanes slicing Lake Washington. Fireworks prepping pyrotechnics. We'd scored front row spots on the shore. Blankets spread with coolers and glow sticks. But Jake crashed it, fresh from juvie release. Leaner, tattooed now. Eyes scanning the crowd till they locked on us. Fancy meeting you here, he drawled. Beer in hand. A girl on his arm, beard. Obvious. Dylan tensed. Glow stick snapping in his fist. Walk, I said, standing. Jake's girl wandered to the races. He followed me to the water's edge. Waves lapping like uneasy truce. Clean slate? He asked. Voice rough. I fucked up. Big. Sincerity glinted. But wariness held me. Why now? He shrugged. Gaze drifting to Dylan. Laughing with strangers. Saw you too. Real. Makes my shit look pathetic. Confessions spilled. Therapy revelations. His own queerness unpacked. Family fallout. Wish I'd been brave like him. Brave. The word bridged. Tentative. Water under the bridge. I allowed. No hug. But nod. He melted into the crowd as hydroplanes thundered. Victory cheers drowning history. Fireworks burst. Cascades of red. White. Blue. Dylan pulling me close. Lips syncing with booms. Love you. He yelled over the din. And in that pyrotechnic glow, betrayal's last chain snapped. But conflict pivoted inward August. Dylan's packing frenzy. Boxes labeled sketches. Clothes. Ethan's stuff. Mom helped. Ray hauling to storage. But air thickened with unsaid goodbyes. One night, post-pizza, he cornered me in the garage. What if it changes us? Vulnerability cracked. Tears hot. Long-distance horror stories cheating. Fading. I cupped his face. Thumbs swiping salt. Then we fight. Calls. Visits. Letters like your drawings. You're worth every mile. Packing turned ritual. Love notes tucked in socks. Miss your laugh. Polaroids taped to lids, our beach. Departure day dawned fog-shrouded. Airport shuttle idling like a thief. Hugs lingered, mom's fierce. Ray's awkward pat. Mine a full-body cling. Noses brushing. Call when you land. I choked. Watching him bored. Backpack slung. That brave grin flashing last. Empty nest hit hard. House echoing. His room a shrine of pencil nubs and half-finished canvases. Text bridged. Jet lag sucks. Drew the skyline, yours tonight. Video calls nightly. Faces pixelated but smiles real. Whispers turning heated till bandwidth cut. Touch yourself for me, he'd coax. Voice husky across ether. And we'd sync. gasps echoing the gap. Fall semester flew, his NYU tales vivid, East Village dives, queer theory profs, a crush on a sculptor that fizzled fast, too hipster. Miss your flannel vibe, visits punctuated, me Thanksgiving, stuffing shared in a cramped dorm, bodies reuniting frantic on a twin bed. Him Christmas, snow blanketing Seattle, lovemaking by the tree, mom's eggnog toasting to miles conquered, yet strain showed my internship burnout, his all-nighters, arguments flaring over missed calls. You forgot, I'm drowning here, humanistic core held. Apologies in sketches emailed, sorry etched in ink and shadow. Betrayal's ghost, Jake's occasional FB like on Dylan's art page, polite distance, redemption arc his own. Climax brewed spring break, Dylan flying west for my birthday. Airport reunion, sprint hug, kiss devouring, strangers smiling indulgent. Weekend blurred romantic, Pike Place dates, his hand in mine public now, unashamed. But Saturday, post-brunch, he dropped the bomb over lattes, NYU extension, summer abroad in Paris, Paris. Another ocean away. Heart seized. What about us? Voice small, exposed. He reached across, eyes pleading, come, defer a semester. Art programs killer, temptation ward dreams versus us, but roots tugged. Mom's classes ramping, my internship pivotal. Can't, I admitted, throat closing. But we'll bridge it. Fight erupted that night. Hotel room storming. Accusations flying. You're choosing safe. You're running. Culminating in slammed door. Him storming to the lobby. I chased. Rain-slick streets. Catching him under a marquee. Don't, I begged. Pulling him into downpour. I choose you. Every time. Kiss in the deluge. Soaked and savage. Washing doubt. Paris. Then Seattle. Then wherever. Together. He nodded. Tears mingling with rain. And we stumbled back. Making up slow apologies in skin. Promises in sighs. Morning brought clarity. Applications submitted. Compromises forged. Humanistic win. Not perfect. But ours. Summer in Paris shimmered surreal. Dylan and I cobbling visas and savings for a month-long immersion. Me crashing his program. Easels side by side in a Montmartre atelier overlooking Sacré-Cœur. Mornings bled into paint-smeared afternoons. Baguettes crumbling under butter knives. Sane strolls hand in hand. His laughter echoing off Houseman stone. This is us, he'd say, sketching my profile against the Eiffel Tower's iron lace. Tourists blurring backdrop. Romance peaked in stolen lofts. Picasso haunts turned our playground. Bodies arching under slanted ceilings. Sane's murmur serenade. But conflict shadowed. Emails from home. Mom's promotion. Ray's proposal jitters, tugged like gravity. Dylan's prof. A silver-haired sculptor with roving eyes. Flirted overt. Such passion in your lines. Sherry. Jealousy nipped. Old Jake echoes. But Dylan shut it down. Public kiss on the cheek. Taken. Trust rebuilt. Brick by humanistic brick. Return to Seattle grounded us. Jet-lagged but glowing. Mom's wedding small backyard affair. Cherry tree blooming defiant. Us in matching ties. Toasting to new chapters. Ray fit. His dad jokes lightning vows. And as they danced to it last, Dylan leaned in. Our turn someday? Someday. The word bloomed. Future tense hope. Fall semester synced. him NYU junior year, me UW full-time, bi-coastal rhythm honed. Visits monthly, me Amtrak NG East, him Red Ice West, each reunion a reaffirmation. Airport dashes, bed-ins marathoning our flag means death, debates over Thai takeout. Missed your snore, he'd tease, curled against me in dorms or our old twin beds pushed together at home. Betrayal's final whisper came winter, anonymous ex-post, grainy pic of us in Paris. Captioned incest vibes? Seattle scandal. Jake's hand? Traced IP later, but irrelevant, we'd outgrown shadows. Dylan drafted a response, artistic manifesto. Love defies labels. Draw your own conclusions. It went viral. Queer icons retweeting. His follower count exploding. Backlash stung, trolls spewing hate. But support surged. Fan art. DMs of thanks for being real. Humanistic core shown. Mom's speech at family therapy's end. Proud of my boys' brave hearts. Raise bear hugs. Newfound ally. Even Jake reached out, rehab grad letter. Clean slate plea. Rooting for you both. From afar. We replied neutral. Forgiveness without forgetting, closing the circle. Climax resolved soft. Not shatter. Dylan's senior showcase. NYU's cavernous hall packed. His installation fraternal flames. Sculptures of intertwined forms rising from ash. Lit ethereal. Me in front row. Heart swelling as he spoke. To the brother who caught me falling. And pulled me up. Love's the ultimate art. Applause thundered. Afterward. In the green room. Our kiss sealed it. Deep. Declarative. Future forward. Graduation June. Caps airborne over Washington Square. His diploma a launchpad. What's next? Friends asked. But his eyes found mine across the sea of gowns. Us. Post-party. Rooftop bar overlooking the city that shaped him. Champagne fizzing. Westward? Or stay? I proposed then, not ring. But promise. Wherever. Together. He tackled me laughing. Yes tumbling from lips. Skyline blurring in happy tears. Epilogue unfolded humanistic. American dream queer. Dylan interning at a Brooklyn gallery. Me remote psych consulting. Our shared loft in Capitol Hill. Mom downstairs. Ray's remodel turning house to haven. Days blended. Morning runs along the waterfront. His sketches on fridge. My case files on the counter. Nights. Tangled in sheets threadbare from years. Whispers of caught you, echoing that rainy hook. Betrayal scars. Faint lines. Stories for campfires. Jake's redemption arc his own. Somewhere in the heartland. Conflict. Daily dance. But love's the lead. Climax. Life's ongoing. Dylan's first solo show. My practice launch. Adoptions pondered under evergreens. One dusk. Driveway puddle reflecting us, older. Sure, he turns. Eyes that hunger from years ago. Surprised me then. Still do. I pull him close. Rain threatening. Heart full. Good surprise. His kiss answers. Deep as the sound. Romantic as dawn. And in that moment, brothers no longer just by blood, but by choice, flame to flame, unbroken.